a campaign and the Chofetz Chaim explains when he was talking about we got together people together for a convention on Hachzokas HaTorah, to strengthen Torah. He said that the Malach, the sar of Esav, went to fight Yaakov, the last one of the Avos. So he asked the question, why did the Yetzer Hara in the battle, the Ma'avak, the fight, why did he wait so long? Why did he let it slip by? Abraham, let Yitzchak slip by. And only at Yaakov did he have to have the battle and the fight. So the Chofetz Chaim answered and said that Avram represents the pillar of Chesed, and Yitzchak represents the pillar of worship, avodah. And Yaakov represented the pillar of Torah. As it says, Titein emes liYaakov, you give truth to Yaakov. So Esav could let slip by and could live with Chesed of Abraham. The Chesed of Abraham he could live with. The avodah, the worship, the piety of Yitzchak, he could all let go. When it got to Torah, which is truth, he says, this is too much. When it comes to truth, Torah, he decided to go out in the battle. And he tried to jump on Yaakov. And therefore, historically, what happens to the Avos happens to the Banim. That the Yetzer Hara's fight will come out in the fight against Torah values, and against the truth. Therefore, I have to stand up at this point and make a stand and fight the battle to see to it that the qualities of truth have to be strengthened, because the Yetzer Hara would let everybody do everything but truth. And therefore, when you see he's fighting the truth, he's fighting the Torah, at this point, we need chizuk, we need strength to strengthen our bechira, our free choice to decide that we want truth. And the bechira itself, which the Almighty gave us that blessing, the Yetzer Hara cannot fight. We're given that right, that freedom of choice, and the choice of Torah, truth, that we strengthen our will, our desire for truth, and therefore this gives us the power and the energy to be able to fight against all forces that go against us. Now it's very hard to fight. The Yetzer Hara every day comes up, not once a year, not every day the Yetzer Hara is out to stop man from learning Torah, from man doing truth and doing the right thing. And to fight against the Yetzer Hara, who's been battling against man and the greatest of men of all for thousands of years. It's hard for us to picture that we could win. But it's our duty to try. If we understand the Chochmah, we have to try. And the strength again, and the only thing that we can do is in our Bechir, and our free choice, where we have total freedom. We have to strengthen the free choice and strengthen the desire for truth, as it's brought down in the Hakdama, that the Borei B'Seichel, somebody who is healthy of mind, desires and searches and only wants the truth. And therefore we strengthen that quality. You get the proper value judgment to be able to do the Das Torah, what is required of us to do. But it's our job to try. I like to bring the example, the famous example. We brought it many times, but I want to apply it this way. That when Bas Paro saw the little thing floating in the Yam, Vatishlach es Amosa Vatikocha. So Rashi says, Amosa is Yoda. Nish Tarvro Yoda Amos Harbor. Her hand is just extended. In other words, even though she knew it was practically impossible to get it, but she stretched her hands out to get it anyway. Because she stretched her hands out anyway to try, a person must try. So then Hashem made a nest and was able to extend the arm to get it. Pischuli Pesach Shalmacha, just try a little bit, and I'll open it up like a whole world. One has to make an attempt, a stab. He's not allowed to be miyayesh. He has to go forward and try with all his strength. Even though the Yetzer Hara is old and wise and has fought against the greatest, and the greatest have lost, we cannot give up. We have to try with all our strength to succeed in the battle of emes in the world. And somehow, some way, we have to have that bitachon that we'll win out, and somehow we'll be able to solve a problem and a fight that's beyond us. But since it's given to us, if we will try with the Chochmas HaTorah, Hashem will send Siyata D'Shmaya in order to succeed. Now I want to explain something that you have to hear very well. It says a pasuk in Yechezkel Lamed Gimel, Chai ani Num Hashem im achbos b'mos harasha. The Almighty swears and says, I don't want the death of the wicked. Ki im beshuv Rosha midarko v'choy. I want the Rasha to change his ways and to live. If you believe somebody, he doesn't have to swear. His word is good enough. But if he has to swear, that means his word is not enough. So imagine an honorable man who normally, when he'll say something, he doesn't have to swear. We find that Hashem himself, b'chvodu ba'atzmo, says, Chai Hashem, he swears that he will take and accept somebody who will do tshuva. That means, by definition, that the concept of tshuva, of accepting when something is wrong, is far from the hearts of man. It's hard for man to accept it. It's hard for man to believe. It's practically impossible. So the Almighty himself has to make a shavua and says, don't worry, I'll accept. Now, how do we expect a child who does something wrong, something terrible, and the father or the mother say it's okay, or they hit him and he does tshuva, you do tshuva here, how do you expect that that child, both in TV, following a simple way, and not knowing the Shavuos Hashem, and may not have total confidence in his father or mother, that when they'll say, yes, we forgive you, don't worry, look at their eyes and see that, is it really erased totally? Will they ever bring it up again? Will they ever remind them of the past? How do you expect that little child, with the simplistic understanding, the tmimus, to accept the concept that totally he's forgiven? It is true when they do things, they forget what they do, and they erase themselves as nothing happened. But to believe that after they did bad, they're sorry, it's erased, or to actually accept that it's gone, is a very hard concept, or a very hard place for a child to understand. If Hashem requires from man a shavua, for us to believe, what do we think of a child? What are the real feelings of the child when he does wrong? How does one train the child to understand that he can change, he has the ability to change, that if he does change, it's all forgiven and erased? How hard it is for us as adults for that concept. That when it comes to another deed, we don't pull back in the repertoire of past experiences and pull out and say, remember when you did it to me. Remember what you have done to me. Or the parent does not pull it out or remember about it, like totally gone and forgotten. And they have the confidence that it's totally erased. What do we expect from a child that does wrong that we have to train him to correct his ways, and the concept of tshuva. This is a very hard and serious pedagogical training that the parent trains his children, or the Rebbe to the Talmidim. In order to approach this, we have to start on the positive aspect. Of recognizing truth and getting the moral fiber of one person, of the sense of morality, of ethics, that is beyond the social institutions and beyond the friends and feelings of his peers, and to understand the need in order to stand up for truth and for moral values beyond social pressures and groups. I'd like to explain this concept of truth in a few ways that you have to hear it. It's brought down in the Orchis Tzadikim. Haneshama, Shar 23. Haneshama nivreis mimokom ruach hakodesh. And anything in mokom hakodesh is only emes. V'Hashem Elokim emes. V'Hashem Elokim emes. The Chotam Hashem is emes. Anyway, it's sheker, it's against, it cannot exist with him. Haneshama nechtzavos bimkor emes. Yasa kilin yonav be'emes. In other words, the emes itself is not only emes, but has a holiness. The emes itself has a holiness. And I'll explain a little bit what does it mean by emes, which is a point we'll have to discuss further. It's good to see what he says, chapter 23. He says, Chidushim nifloim admonia. But that's not for here now, which is all part of emes. And one is required to stand up for the truth, and that's really what Yehuda ben Tema Omer, Have'oz kenomer, Kal kenesher, Rotz kitzvi v'gibo kari. A man wants to do, he has the will, he has desire, but in the performance of actualizing the mitzvah, nimna malasos is somehow prevented from doing it. Why? People laugh at him. And that's what is meant. Have a oz kenomer, you have to be strong and get that internal character strength within yourself of oz kenomer against those who are maligin. And that's to bring up Yochanan. Habusha shepomim odom mitbayis b'nei odom yosri mashmi b'nei abaris bar. There are times when man, from embarrassment from his friends or people, is more embarrassed than embarrassed from God. And therefore it says, Oz kenomer, Oz meitzvah keneged hamaligim. And don't be afraid. And have to be like David HaMelech. Beidosecha neged molochim v'leibo. With your laws, even though as among kings, and kings have a certain etiquette and a certain rules, and they're very sensitive of covet and honor and feelings, still with your rules, I wasn't afraid of kings. In other words, David HaMelech had that internal strength of doing truth, of doing the right thing, even if it's against the normal character and nature of one, which is busha of man, society, friends, or against ridicule, which is even harder. And he stands up with a certain internal integrity. Which is really what the Torah is talking about in the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, Yehuda ben Tema Oz Kenomar. And we'll say, well, conceptually, is it possible for a man to be embarrassed by a human being more than embarrassed by God? Is there such a possibility? This is a pshita. Of course, man is more embarrassed by us to do the right thing. And that's why the Torah brings down Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to his Talmidim to tell him, Al Tetameh, because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says to his Talmidim, Halavai, you have as much fear of God as you have fear of man. Conceptually, man has the understanding that he has to face God, but the local, immediate, momentary pressure, he bends to his fellow man and the embarrassment of the fellow human being. When you'll find children sometimes with a little pressure from the parents, they'll admit to everything and say anything just that the pressure will get off and they'll get their rewards. And they'll do anything just to immediately, to have that immediate gratification of not being wrong or bad, or to comply with one's parents. And the Prisha says also there are people who are embarrassed to do mitzvahs in front of people, notary people, even though they don't embarrass them, they don't make fun of them. Somewhat a busha. You got a dav mincha in an airport, in the street. What are you going to do? You do what you have to do. Don't do what you have to do. Do it quick and fast. What do you do? In front of embarrassment of people. So you rationalize and say, Chil Hashem, Kavod HaTorah, Kavod HaBriyah. When it comes to mitzvahs, and it comes to actions, and there you have to get that internal strength of Yehuda ben Tema ve'oz. And you must do the mitzvah. He says even David HaMelech, who was being persecuted and running after, Shaul was running after him, it was Nov and Nod. And he had to run among the Goyim, Avedas Hulin. He was Marzik B'Tarasa. And if he was among Avedas Gilulim, when he was running away, he was not embarrassed. He didn't. He was proud, and he stood up for the mitzvahs that he had. I brought down the Noam Elimelech and the Tzel Katan. I brought down the first part. that one of the first training that one has is to understand the relationship that one has to his body, to the world, to his parents, and that a machshava tova mitztaref lamaisa, that a good deed is considered as if it happened, a good thought considered if it happened. And therefore one pictures in his mind there's a big fire and he's required to have a Kiddush Hashem, so he gives himself totally over and jumps into the fire against his teva, shoive es nafsh et tivo, which is against his nature. And therefore it's very hard to explain to children that which is against their nature, at least at the beginning. And therefore the concept of Kiddush Hashem exists, but it's a special training and a special soul and a special type of person who by nature, since the natural force is survival of the fittest, the natural force to protect oneself, and a child is closer to nature, that it's harder for the child, in a way, to give up of himself totally in Mesiras Nefesh. So it's the Shovis Tifo of relation to the parts in the world, and do something higher with a more moral fiber to give oneself up to Kiddush Hashem. But that's what's required of a man. But the Zettel Cotton goes further in Gimel and explains. B'shas achilo v'zivug, when he's feeling tainug, gashmi, he says in his mouth, Ubeliboy, it is much better and more pleasurable and more happy. Then I'm gonna get the tainug of gashmi. And he would rather have the tainug and simcha of the mitzvahs eseh shel v'nikdashti, that even in the middle of his food, eating his delicious candies and cakes, or delicious food, he has the achila v'zivul, and they give me all types of nuyim koshim, I'll be much more happier to do the mitzvahs aseh of Kiddush Hashem. In other words, he has developed, or tells us to develop the taste, that the joy and the happiness of a mitzvah should be greater than, more pleasureful than, more happiness than somebody getting momentary pleasure from tainug. In other words, doing something spiritual, something right, standing of some type of a principle, gives him more joy and more happiness, much more pleasant to the mind and much more healthier that the mind would dictate to do, and getting more joy from that than getting the joy and the happiness from pleasure of the world. In other words, the sense of balance is such, it is such training we're talking about a human man, not a child, is such that when it will come to pleasure, he's able to unhook it by picturing or counterbalancing pleasure versus pleasure, right versus, or the concept of right and doing the proper thing and getting the pleasure to do the proper thing and the correct thing and the right thing above what one likes and desires. In other words, in simple language, we have a question of what do you do? Do you do what you like, what feels good, or you do what's right? You do what's right. The Torah talks about right, not what you feel, not what you like. But the doing the right has to also be pleasurable to the healthy mind and give happiness and joy to the mind, much more than the physical pleasure of gashmias and tainug that a man can get. And this is a difficult training that a person and a child, that parents have to train to getting the pleasure and the joy from doing the correct thing, the right thing, the proper thing, the idealistic thing. And this starts in many, many various ways. It can start with toys, sharing with others. Chesed. Isn't it better? Is a period of a child that's me, give me. What is right? What is right? What's good for me is right. Whatever's good for me is correct. But then there's another concept of helping others. There are other people. Sharing. How does a child get pleasure in sharing? Pleasure doing chesed. Feeling good of having rachmanis, having empathy. How does a child get those sensitivities? How do they get the joy and happiness? That they can forgo their own self things and give to others. And actually not to the degree that they're sick, that they don't take care of themselves, but to the degree where there is joy and pleasure trained in the child of chesed, kindness. And the child loves to sing praises to Hashem and pray. He would rather pray than running right away and eat his food. He'd rather take an extra minute and put away some of the food and have enough time to bench and thank God for what he got properly, rather than get another piece of food into his stomach and pray quicker and faster. That he gets the joy and the happiness from prayer. He gets a tremendous pleasure of doing the right thing, the proper thing. Well, how do you train the child to get the tremendous pleasure of doing the right thing, to standing up and announcing something's wrong and what is right? Is it just training them that to say what's right? I was traveling, my last travels. I got to a parent's house, and they want to show me how smart their child is with the new computer. And actually, the kid's playing the computer downstairs in the basement. Comes up, and the parents makes a statement, and right away the kid says, "You're wrong, Dad. You're wrong, Mom." Teaching the kid truth is nice. Truth is valuable. You have to stand up for truth. Against all odds. But not the right Torah chinuch, that's for sure. Kabed esavicha v'esimecha. What are the rules of kabed is what? You're not allowed to contradict your father. Either your father's wrong, what do you say? You say you're wrong, speak up for truth. The mitzvah kibbut avein. I don't know when, when not, how, what. It's not everything in the kid's mind he says, because when he said it, the child wasn't 100% right. In a certain sense, the child was right. It wasn't totally correct. But it looked cute, nice. Parents smiled. What kind of smile they had when the kid contradicted them. And the child wasn't 100% right, was 80% right. On one hand, they were smart, I was a smart child. On the other hand, where was the kibbut of aim? Where was the Torah values in the home? Where was the training that they had? The truth of the matter is we don't have to look far at the children. We can look at ourselves. What did the children see in the parents? How did the parents act? For the sake of truth, did the husband and wife fight each other? Rabbi? Emes lamito. To prove emes lamito, they have to contradict each other, Rabbi. Is that true? It says a pasuk in Mishlei. Mishlei Gimel. What is it? Al, I don't know the pasuk behind, but it says Al. You have a Mishlei maybe? Anyway, the pasuk says, don't run after the Baal Choma, so don't follow his ways. So Rashi says there, interesting Rashi. So Rashi says that, don't look at the way that he's matzliach. So I translate the other way around. I say, if you see a person matzliach, so you don't look at the hatzlacha, you look what type of person, you go deep and see what type of person, what kind of person is this that's matzliach? What is his character? What is his nature? What is he doing? Who is this type of person? Is he a Baal Chomas? What is it? When you have a situation, you have to go a little deeper and see the character of the person. You see a person learning Torah. The key is learning, coming to learn. What is he? Is he a miser, grabbing in, hopping in? Good point. What is he doing? What has happened? 3 people can do the same act. 3 different people are doing a Kiddush Hashem, giving their life. One is from Japan, one's from the American Army, and one's a Yeshiva Pacham. The one who's giving his life for a cause in Japan, his life is valueless. What is life? Nothing. Life has no meaning. He gives his life, what does it mean? A guy in the army is brainwashed. Evo, does he think? Doing what pushed Anoshim Meloda by habit, by force, by society. He's psyched up. But the other person, Kiddush Hashem, has a wonderful wife, with good children. He has many mitzvahs to do in the world. And Afal came, he gives his life. That's Kiddush Hashem. It depends on what the act is done. Anybody can do an act, but the purpose of the act, of what he's doing, changes the pula, changes what is taking place. What is behind the scene? What midos are involved in one's action that he's doing? What is happening? What is he doing? Why is he doing? How is he doing? What's behind the scenes? What's a step lower? It's our job to go behind the scenes and see what's happening. Who the person is, yourself, are you